Hey, listen to Commander Cookout Podcast, episode 30. I'm Brando. I'm here with Ryan, and today we're going to continue the arc of opposition with episode 2 with an Azorius Beatdown deck. But before we do that, hit our theme song! Hey, Ryan, we're back for another adventure. How you feeling?
I'm good. What's going down?
A whole bunch. We're back for episode 30. I feel like that's worth noting.
It's like adulthood.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're blossoming of age as a podcast.
It's like we have to almost, we're at the point in the life of the podcast that nobody gives a shit about us anymore. And we just have to go and do all of our own things.
Is that true? I feel like people are giving more of a shit about us as we go along.
I guess big shout out to everybody who's been listening, who's new, because the last couple episodes have gained a little bit of popularity. So we're thankful for you guys, new Twitter followers, new listeners, subscribers, I guess followers on our Tapped Out page.
Yeah. Also, people made us number 4 on Podomatic. 5? No, we were 4. We looked at the list.
You should redo it.
We're not redoing it. We're number 4. Because we looked at the little infographic.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And we're number 4.
We did. I even backed away from the microphone to tell you to fix it. But we don't need to fix it because we're number 4.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super cool. So thanks to all of you guys for helping us do that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The number 3 is what was it, Marvel Puzzle Quest, guys?
Yeah. I don't know how you do a podcast about that. Good on them for doing it. But I don't know
for
how
sure.
you do that.
They look at us and they're like, what the heck, what is this? How do you do a podcast on Magic the Gathering? Isn't that like Pokemon? Oh. And then the number 2 guys are D&D, so there's probably lots to talk about there.
Yeah, lots going on there, yeah.
And number 1...
the scrapbooking ladies!
The scrapbookers, what the hell?
How does that happen?
And
they have a stranglehold on first place.
Yeah, like big time, hey?
Yeah,
like they're head and shoulders above everybody else, like real gaming people.
It's insane.
Get on it, gamers.
Yep. Take them down.
Yep, we got to move up the podcast. Like it, share it. I don't know. What do you do? Comment, subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Brando's going to go through all the social media coordinates right now.
Yes, I am. So, we are CCOPodcast on Twitter and on tappedout.net. That's where you can see all of the deck lists we talk about, including today's and any we do in the future. We are commandercookout@gmail.com if you want to send us an email or some other things that you'd like to send us. No nudes. What?
Nudes.
No nudes.
Okay.
No nudes. We're also Commander Cookout on Google Play, iTunes, the Google Machine, and on YouTube, which is new for us.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now, on YouTube, it's only our new logo and audio.
Yes.
So we're getting that set up. We're working on it. And I guess this might be a good time to, again, we've asked in the past, and we're working on it. We want to start a little bit of a website because we've been getting asked about our spicy calculator.
Yes.
And the spicy calculator is something that I've done the infographic for it. Brando's checked it over. He wanted a couple tweaks. And I'm going to be sending that out shortly after this podcast goes out, as long as my new baby doesn't scream all day, every day. And what we would like ideally is for additional suggestions over and above you get funny altars, sweet altars, and the little bit of merchandising that we've talked about with people already online, a la schooners, drinking glasses, T-shirts, custom engraved, custom printed with CCO logo, if and when we start a Patreon. Because we'd like to use some of that Patreon funding to pay for a URL to get a spicy calculator website.
Yeah, we thought that would be really cool, and you guys would dig that.
Honestly, it would help us out a lot as well, because if we've got something that we can just access online when we record, we don't have to pre-do our spiciness calculator. So
it
would behoove both us as, Brando really producing the show. Me doing the notes prior to the show, and you, the listener, because I guess you guys want to know how spicy your own decks are.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Everybody wants to know that. And math is fun, turns out.
Well, math is fun when you have an Excel calculator to do it for you, because
fair enough.
Yeah.
2 quick notes. Both of these brought to you by F.U. Joel.
Oh, yeah, yep. F. Joel.
So it turns out that Joel is a judge of some kind.
He thinks he's better than us.
Community. Yeah, thinks he's so great.
I'm going to give him a suplex off the roof.
With his goofy, swooped hair.
Yeah.
Flippant guy. Anyway.
Skinny jeans.
He did explain to us that when we were talking about Triumph of the Horde, was that the card we were talking about?
Clan Defiance.
Clan Defiance. Last week, where it was like red, green, X, deal damage to flying thing, not flying thing in person. apparently, the way that it works now, as long as it has targets when it goes on the stack, it doesn't matter if one of them dies. Yeah. So if the first Clan Defiance kills the flying thing, it doesn't counter the second one.
Yeah, and he said it was confusing with things like Lightning Helix was the example that he gave. If the creature that you're targeting to deal 3 damage with Lightning Helix all of a sudden is dead or has hexproof or what have you, then you don't gain 3 life. But because that's the only target for the spell.
Correct.
Versus Clan Defiance has 3 individual targets. All 3 need to be illegal or non-existent for the spell to fizzle.
Yes.
So I guess, thanks, Joel.
Yeah, and F you also.
Yeah.
Correcting us. What a turd. Also on the Joel front, I told my Drop of Honey story last week, and I felt it would behoove us to update the story because I forgot kind of the second part. The part 2 of that story is after I'd been trying to buy that card for fucking weeks, I got so mad, I was like, I give up. At Magic one day, and like the next day, Joel went down to the store and bought it.
How much did he pay for it?
$40.
How much did we say it was last week?
$440. Ooh,
that's like 1,000% more.
Yeah, that's American money.
Yeah,
that's American money.
It's like 6,000 Canadian,
right?
Joel got a good deal. Oof.
Yeah, he did.
Wish I was him. Nah, just kidding.
No, nobody wants to be Joel. Nope. Never be that guy.
Okay. Well, we talked enough about Joel. What are we talking about today, actually?
Today, I believe we are bringing up a commander we've talked about before in Grand Arbiter Augustin IV.
Ooh.
But we've put a new Arc of Opposition twist on him, and now instead of being the controlliest of control generals, he's the beatdowniest of beatdowny generals.
Yes, he's going to be a real dick stomper in this episode.
Yes, and the deck is actually shaped like a sledgehammer if you look at the curve of the creatures, where it's really skinny at the top like the handle, and then it balloons out and gets really heavy at the top and makes it a little bit unwieldy, but we're going to fix that.
Ooh, most excellent. Let's give him a read real quick just to remind everybody or any new listeners of what he actually does.
Okay, so for those of you who forgot or do not know, Grand Arbiter Augustin IV is a 2/3 for 4, one of which is white, one of which is blue, and he says on him, white spells you cast cost 1 generic mana less. Blue spells you cast cost 1 generic mana less to cast. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more.
Ooh, so you could see obviously how he makes for good control commander. He is the, I guess, quintessential control colors, and he is also slows down your opponent while speeding your stuff up.
Which is very good in a control deck, or in this case, an aggro deck.
Yeah. If you go back and check out episode 13 of Commander Cookout Podcast, that's when we talked about control. It was the arc of the archetype. We used Grand Arbiter to, I guess, be the commander of our quintessential control deck. Yes. And we talk about things like Cryptic Command costing 3 instead of 4. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Things like
Wrath of God costs 3 instead of 4.
Also good. Sphinx's Revelation, you get 2 free X's out of X.
Yeah.
Right? Because you declare what X is, then you tap all your mana, or then apply cost reducing effects, then tap the mana.
Yeah.
So for white-blue spells, Grand Arbiter makes them cost quite a bit less. And that's one of the things I had to talk to you about. I got to grind your gears a little bit because I guess you made a tribal deck.
Yes, I did.
Cat's out of the bag now, tribal deck. But you could have used all the big stompy creatures in blue-white to get the double discount out of them.
Who would that be?
Well, it's like some Sphinxes, some Archons, some Angels. So they're all kind of mixed in there, but there's not really any regular tribal kind of cohesiveness there. So instead you did
Angels and Leviathans.
A kind of a dual tribe thing, but mostly Angels.
It's mostly Angels.
And then you picked like the not shitty Leviathans.
Correct. There were a lot fewer of those. Originally I wanted to do mostly Leviathans, but it turns out there aren't that many good ones.
Well, and you know what? SeaMonster.deck is a deck. And while it's probably pretty fun and spicy, you would maybe be better off using like Thassa, God of the Sea, or some mono-blue type commander, right?
Yes.
And using white-blue gave us a little bit more flexibility to have a couple fun includes that don't always find their way into commander decks.
Yes, and playing a lot of Angels gave me a lot of flying, which gave me an opportunity to play some things that are a big FU to you and your stupid budget.
Oh.
Because we're not playing budget this week, kids. No, we are not.
No. I think a lot of the creatures are budget.
Yes.
a lot of the angels, except for a couple that we'll talk about. But yeah, the deck, not so budget. So I guess let's get into it a little bit here. Let's go and talk about creatures. 25, you fit 25 big stompy creatures in here.
It's pretty good, eh?
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
And if we look at a couple of them that I really like because I got experience playing with them that aren't Avacyn Angel of Hope and Elishnorn, let's talk about for a quick second Archangel of Thune. I don't think that she's a secret, but I got her up here. She's a 3/4 angel, flying angel, lifelink for white 3. And whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
So it makes your already significant army even more significant.
And Army E.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she costs 5, and I think 5 with the Angel Tribe is when you get into the...
That's when you start beating wholesale ass.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And
you've got a couple of lower cost ones, like that one, the Flying Lifelinker 6/6 for 1.
Ooh.
Didn't play her on principle.
Not an angel.
Probably would fit in the deck.
Yeah, probably pretty good card in the deck there.
Yes.
I guess starting at 5 for your best creatures, we're going to see in the artifact section that we're going to be able to get there.
Yes.
But a couple other ones that I like of note, you're playing both halves of Brizella. That is Bruna and Gisela. So let's look at them individually and then together because she beats the most wholesale ass. Whenever you cast Bruna the Fading Light, you may return target angel or human creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. She got flying, vigilance, and she's a 5/7 for 7.
So high end, but high reward.
Yeah.
And then our other one, we got Gisela the Broken Blade. She is a 4/3 flying first strike lifelinker for 2 and 2 white. At the beginning of your end step, if you both own and control Gisela and Bruna, remove them from the game, meld them, and bring them back. And she melds into a obscene Eldrazi horror of sorts called
Brizella, Voice of Nightmares. Totally badass. Crazy picture too, like full back tattoo style cool. So she is a Eldrazi Angel, 9/10, flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink. Your opponents can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less.
which is most of the spot removal that gets rid of those super sweet melded creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
I like that for sure.
Yeah. I actually played her after a one of our Tuesday night EDH sessions when I basically...
Oh, yeah, you did.
I basically rocked the entire table with a Hanwar Garrison, Hanwar Battlements, whatever it melds into, and I just beat the whole table with that one creature.
Yeah, that guy's good because he makes Eldrazi horrors, right?
Yep, he attacks and gets more dudes. Not in this deck, but, you know, just the same idea, and I saw there was another one in Angels. How could I not play it?
Yeah, for sure. I like those meld guys. They're super EDH, right?
Yes, they are.
Couple other ones of note that are not Angels, but we're going to lean on a few things to help us get to these big 7, 8, 9 casting cost type creatures. We've got Grand Architect. He lets you tap an untapped blue creature you control to add 2 mana to your mana pool to cast artifacts and activate the abilities of artifacts. And we've got a little ditty called Pillapala, which lets you pay 2 and untap him to make a mana of any color. The other thing, I guess I should have mentioned it as well, you can pay blue to target artifact creature becomes blue. Right? So you make Pillapala blue, you tap him to make 2 mana, you use the 2 mana and his untap ability to make another mana.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just tap him and untap him, tap him and untap him infinite times.
Infinite mana to play infinite cost dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like kind of a waste. So when me and Brando were talking, I said, well, what do? Well, you play your big dudes. Cool.
Yeah.
You could also add something like Sphinx's Revelation, which is in the deck.
Yep.
You could add Brain Geyser or Stroke of Genius or what have you. Name your X draw spell to draw your deck, and then you play all the creatures.
Sure.
That works.
That does work.
That's a good combo.
And you can do that in here for sure. On turn 3?
I like turn 3.
Turn 3,
Yeah.
I have 900 angels. And then you beat down with them. None of this combo control win bull crap.
Yeah. Okay, moving on from creatures. They're awesome. We're going to continue covering the creatures and probably add a few more creature type effects. in the suggestion section. But moving along here, instants and sorceries, a total of 5. 5 total.
This is a beatdown deck, not a control deck.
But you are playing some of the best ones for what you want to be doing.
Damn right I am.
And they seem like control cards, but in a beatdown shell, they're going to serve their purpose very well. You've got a Cyclonic Rift, of course, that goes in a blue commander deck.
Of course it does.
It's the most popular card in blue control decks.
Blue.
After Soul Ring.
Yeah, like in blue, it's basically the most popular one, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And in a beatdown deck, it gets all their blockers out of the way. It's perfect.
It's dual purpose, really.
Yeah.
You could spend 2 and get a blocker out of the way. You could spend 7 and overload it and get rid of every blocker ever.
You get all their blockers out of the way.
Yeah. Or you could use it as a pseudo-wrath spell like control decks do.
Yeah.
So, again, not a control deck, but in a pinch, it acts sort of like Wrath of God, which you also have in the deck.
Damn straight.
And then we've got the aforementioned Sphinx's Revelation, which is blue 1X, gain X life, draw X cards.
Very good.
I like that guy. And the non-budget include Mana Drain.
Also a ramp spell.
You're playing blue ramp.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta counter there. You're playing the green ramp deck. It's turn 4. They're dropping something that costs 8. Obviously, it's going to win them the game because it costs 8. But not if you mana drain it. Yes.
And the other one, on point flavor-wise and tribal-wise, Descent Upon the Sinful. Sounds so badass. Sorcery, white 4, exile all creatures.
Oh, yeah.
If that was all it said, that would be probably more badass. But it also has Delirium, put a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying onto the battlefield if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard.
I was really hoping that you would get an angel for each creature that got exiled, but that would make the spell too good, probably.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, that makes this way too good.
In the set that was in, that was Avacyn Restored?
Sure.
They had a 4/4 angel token theme in there, right?
I think so.
I wish that it was like an 8/8 angel or a 6/6 angel, like something bigger, like something that's
a little more punchy. Like that. There's
something cool, right?
Well,
like the picture's so cool.
And there's Phyrexian Rebirth that gives you a giant
an XX
thing.
Yeah,
it's way better, and I think it costs the same, but it doesn't give you an angel. So
yeah, Phyrexian Rebirth is white 4, destroy all creatures, put a big horror into play, and big is equal to the number of creatures that died.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds kind of better, but less flavorful. And it doesn't exile things. This one exiles them, which is really good.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, the angel flies, and it's on point with Angel Tribal.
Correct.
Okay. And if we look at enchantments, 19. That's where we're starting to see the white-blue style control, I guess, right? So let's talk about a couple of those real quick. Because, again, some of them seem like a control type thing. You've got your Ghostly Prison and your Propaganda, which are enchantments for 3 and make people have to pay 2 for every creature that attacks you, right?
Correct.
Like those cards.
I think they're in there. Well, I put them in there just because you don't have a lot of early game, so your goal there is to not die. Yeah,
you could get them on turn 2 with some of the ramp you're playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get both of them on turn 2 for some of the ramp that we're playing.
Yeah, you could. And now I like this little ditty. And this guy, unfortunately for Angel Tribal in this deck, it's actually in the stock list on edhrec.com, is Luminarch Ascension. And this card will get you beat down if you can't.
If you don't have Ghostly Prison and Propaganda.
Or some removal. That we're going to talk about in the suggestions section. And Luminarch Ascension, enchantment for white and 1 at the beginning of each opponent's end step. If you didn't lose life this turn, you may put a quest counter on Luminarch Ascension. Now, white and 1, put a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Activate this ability only if Luminarch Ascension has 4 or more quest counters on it.
The odds are, if you get that out early and they ain't got no fast creatures, it's going to be one round.
Yeah. In a 5-player game with nobody with a mana dork on turn 2 or 1.
Yes.
You're going to get that online. A lot of the times it gets destroyed, but if you can pump all your resources into, even if you get 2 angels out of it, 2 angels on, let's say, your turn 3, 3 angels if you're playing any kind of mana ramp. 3/4/4s on turn 3 with flying.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. You can start beating ass, right?
And I guess it costs you 8, but who cares?
You're still getting 12.
It's 12 power of guys.
Flying guys.
Yeah.
For 8 mana.
Unreal.
Yeah, certainly like that one. Then you've got a couple that are, I think, really staple white creature enchantments in Cathar's Crusade. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
That goes really good with Chasm Skulker. We can talk about that later.
Yep. You've got, I like Crescendo of War. And Brando's going to read that one because that's got a novel of text on it.
Crescendo of War is a white enchantment. It's white 3. At the beginning of each upkeep, put a what is it? What kind of counter is that? A strive counter? Some kind of freaking counter.
Strife.
Some kind of stupid counter. It gets a counter. Attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 for each strive counter on Crescendo of War. Blocking creatures you control get +1/+0 for each strive counter on Crescendo of War. Ooh.
It's from the original Commander set.
I'd forgotten all about it.
Yeah.
I was just kind of looking through some stuff in my boxes, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that one for sure.
I did the twiddly finger thing and everything.
I guess the enchantments there that we want to talk about now are for beatdown purposes or early game protection. There's also a moat. What the hell, man?
Moat. F your budget, Ryan. Moat.
Moat.
Nothing says fuck your game plan like turn 2, moat. Nothing. Nothing says F you more than that.
Moat.
Nothing.
I have a real moat, too.
There you go.
I think it's an Italian moat. Fossato.
I thought you had an...
Fossato.
Wasn't it a...
Well, that's my Spanish voice. What's my...
I thought you had an abyss that was in...
Abismo.
Abismo.
That's still Spanish.
Yeah.
What does an Italian person sound like? Any Italian guys out there?
Yeah, send us a clip of your voice saying moat in Spanish. And every time we say moat on the show, we'll use your voice. But you have to be Italian or be able to really fool us. None of this Mario crap. It's me, the Motio. Like, that'd be ridiculous. Just don't do it.
Artifacts, 13. And this is where you say, oh, that's how they do it. Okay. We have got quite a few ramp spells, it would seem. And we've got, like, Azorius Signet. That's a mana rock that's going to give you Azorius colors, white, blue. We've got a little ditty called, what is it, Basalt Monolith?
Basalt Monolith.
The 3-drop that taps to give you 3. And it pays... You could pay 3 to untap it.
Yep.
And we've got a little ditty called Power Artifact, just jumping back to the enchantment section, which gives enchanted artifact.
It makes their activation cost 2 less, to a minimum of 1.
Yeah, sorry. I couldn't think of how to say that. Good.
That's why you got me.
So that's another infinite mana generator. Again, right now, just to help you play for those big bigs.
Yeah, unless you're going into the Sphinx's Revelation... Dream God hand, which obviously will win you the game because you draw your whole deck and then play everything in your hand and win the game.
Absolutely.
But as it stands right now, those are all in there simply so that you can play your big dues. I make infinite mana. Play one guy. Yeah, it sounds like a waste, but sometimes you just need to pay 11 for a creature.
You know what the other thing, too, is with those couple infinite combos in there that are only there for mana? It does kind of play into our mantra of have multiple ways to win. So you build a deck, you play it, who knows, maybe they steal your moat. That wouldn't matter because you got flyers. Maybe they do something that makes it so you can't win, right? Through attacking with your angels and leviathans and krakens and what have you. What if you had
the Blue Sun Zenith or anything, really?
Yeah, make them draw their deck. White Sun Zenith at the end of their turn, because it's an instant, gives you infinite cats. That's one I suggested.
Infinite bros. Cats are not angels.
Cats are not angels, so they're not, thematically they're not there, but also more budget. Just throwing that out there.
F your budget, Ryan.
Yep. We've got a extraplanar lens, which is imprint a land, and that land taps for double.
We're only playing snow-covered basics also, so we can really abuse that and nobody else gets a benefit from it.
Ooh, yeah.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm not a huge fan of extraplanar lens in non-monocolor decks, but I think if you put extraplanar lens on planes, you're probably going to get there with this deck because it is quite a bit skewed towards white.
Yes.
Yeah. We've got Mana Crypt and Mana Vault.
That's right. You know why I put those in there? Because they're good. And F your budget.
They both tap for, well, one taps for 2 and one taps for 3.
Correct.
And you know what? If you do turn 1 Mana Crypt, turn 1 Soul Ring, or turn 1 Mana Vault, and go turn 2 Moat, or turn 2 even better, I think, Grand Arbiter. I said that in episode 13 way back when.
Yep. Turn 2 Grand Arbiter is a house.
Is probably the most powerful thing you can do in the deck.
Yes.
On turn 2.
Yes.
On turn 2. Just because it shuts off so many things, and it doesn't shut them off, but it makes them so much slower.
Yeah. Your turn 2 is significantly better than your opponent's turn 2, which is now looking more like their turn 3 or 4.
Yeah. Good luck playing your Cultivate or your Kodama's Reach on turn 2 or 3, or however the turn cycle works. Right? That's slowed down. It makes your Kodama's Reach shittier explosive vegetation.
Ha.
And it makes your explosive vegetations shittier. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, it sucks.
Yep.
All because of us and our super spicy deck.
Couple other ones of note. You got an Urza's Incubator in here again. F the budget. I get a choose a creature type. Pay 3. It's 3. Choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type cost 2 less to cast.
So suddenly your angels cost 3 instead of 5.
Ooh. Or your Leviathans cost 40 instead of 42.
Yeah. I also play a Spear of Heliod. I don't know if you're going to talk about that one, but it is kind of a removal spell. If things hit you, you can revenge kill them.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And it gives your dudes bigger also. It's an anthem that you can use to get revenge on things that hit you.
Okay, so I guess a total of 6 ramp spells. And then we're also playing 2 monuments and an Urza's Incubator. So that could really be 9 ramp spells.
Yeah.
Now, the kicker is, or the key is, though, the Incubator is only a ramp spell for one type of creature. And then the Kefnet and Oketra's monuments are for blue creatures and white creatures, respectively.
Yes. Although when you play any color creature, you do get the benefit of the monument.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And those monuments are sweet. I like them.
Now, one taps things, one gives you cats, I think. Cats aren't angels, but whatever.
They are cats like... oh, no, they give you warriors.
Oh, that's even less. That's
warriors
even less angel-y.
or soldiers. What do they give you?
Yeah, warriors. It's not really angels either. Whatever.
It's also specifically not cats if you want to go White Sun Zenith Cat Tribal.
Yeah?
F that.
Yeah, F that. What are we, Wizards of the Coast? Gonna make a tribal cat deck?
Okay, so moving into the how to play and lines of play type thing. We touched on it before there. Probably turn 2 Grand Arbiter is the best thing for the deck because all of a sudden your creatures cost 1 less. Or
or 2.
No, just 1 less because you don't have any gold creatures in there, do you?
No, I don't think I have any split-colored creatures, honestly. There aren't that many. There's the other Bruna is pretty good if there's a lot of enchantments.
Yeah, I had the other Bruna pulled up on my phone here, and we're not going to get into them, but I searched up on magiccards.info white, blue creature with converted mana cost 5 or greater. There's 32 total creatures to choose from.
Ooh.
Bruna's an angel, and then after that, they're kind of all over the place. Like just going down the list, you got Archon, Cat Soldier,
Dragon,
Human Advisor, Human Scout, Dragon, Elder Dragon, Spirit, Fairy, Wizard. They're just Golem. They're all over the place, right? So,
not really on theme.
No.
Or, F those guys, really.
Probably okay to add them in with Grand Arbiter, but Angel being White's, air quotes, big tribe, the Angel cards are going to be more powerful on board. So much so that the one extra discount that you're not getting from Grand Arbiter any longer because they're mono white is gonna outweigh it, I think.
Yeah, the Angels are very strong.
Especially if you've got Oketra's Monument, there's your second one off, or your Urza's Incubator on Angel.
Which is even better than any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you'd like to have all of those things. Your Angels cost white, but, that's magical Christmas land, and we can live there if we want to, but the odds are you're probably not going to get there anyway.
Exactly, right? And I think 9 mana rock spells or mana ramp spells, rocks, whatever you want to call them, is a good amount. Distinct lack of card draw on the deck, and I think for a 9 ramp spell deck that wants to just dump creatures onto the board and control the board a little bit to be able to get through. You might want to replace some of those cards, but at what cost, right? When you want to maintain your 25 creature count, because ultimately you're a creature deck, what are you going to drop? You're going to drop like your infinite mana generators. You're going to, infinite mana generators. Let's add that to the mana rock count. You've got 11 all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, 2 of the artifacts, which are not, we didn't really talk about them. They're from Ixalan here. We have a Dowsing Dagger, which flips over into a land that's a Gilded Lotus.
Oh!
And we also have a Thematic Compass, which is an artifact for 2, and then for 3 and tap, you find a basic land, put it into play tapped, and then when you have 7 or more lands, it flips over and it becomes a land as well that is also a Maze of Ith. Sort of. It's a shittier Maze of Ith.
Yeah, okay, so realistically, you could have 13 mana rocks.
Correct.
Let's say in a 13 mana rock deck, you're going to be able to dump everything out of your hand with reasonable success and frequency,
yes.
And you're going to need some way to replace said cards. And the few includes that you've put into the deck to, I guess, help you in the early game, maybe those get cut, because I don't think you want to drop things like Cathar's Crusade, Crescendo of War, or anything else that buffs your dude like a Glorious Anthem effect.
Right.
You wouldn't want to cut any, like you've got a Sigil of the Empty Throne in here that gives you an angel every time you play an enchantment.
Which is why all of my removal is enchantment removal.
Yeah, and I don't think you want to cut any of those, so maybe cut something like the Ghostly Prison or the Propaganda and just add straight up X draw. Or like our conversation last week, what ramp do you play? Do you play the 4-drop, draw 3 cards in blue? Do you play the 5-drop, draw 4? Like all of those cards, and blue gives you the benefit of instant speed card draw in a lot of these scenarios. So.
I was mulling over Rhystic Study, putting it in here just because it is kind of a incremental advantage. Is that in here?
It is in here.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. I wasn't sure if I actually ended up putting it in or not. It's like Rhystic Study and Constipated Sphinx.
Oh, yeah.
Are kind of my card draw engines. I didn't put too many other ones in there because it's a stompy deck.
Yeah,
so.
And I guess you just have to make sure that you have ways to stomp, right?
Yes, which is the key.
When you start getting that board state and you've got, 5 or 6 creatures that are 5/5s or bigger that fly and mostly have vigilance,
and lifelink and all sorts of other angel things.
Or you have, 3 or 4 ways in the deck to give them vigilance. You're going to be the threat. You're going to be in first place. And you know what we say, when you're first, you're last.
Yeah.
You're going to be the guy that gets targeted. So I like Consecrated Sphinx. I like Rhystic Study. The only thing about Rhystic Study is you are that guy, right? Are you going to pay 1?
Yeah, I hate doing that.
I know.
But
you also don't want to be that guy that just draws 1 when somebody forgets. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, right? Where you don't even look at them. You're just you're listening real careful, and you see them put not a land on the table, and you just wait a second,
whoop,
take that card, and then they get it back around to your turn. How do you have 14 cards in your hand? Rhystic Study, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody paid extra.
Yeah, don't be that guy, right?
Yeah, don't do that.
Is it better to say, are you going to pay 1? Are you going to pay 1? Maybe you just you print off an 8.5 by 11 copy of Rhystic Study, like a giant proxy, and just put it in the middle of the table
with a question mark on it.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be a thing. Maybe that could be a thing, actually. We should do that.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yep,
I like that a lot.
So getting back on how to play, turn 2 Grand Arbiter, excellent. Let's call it turn 1 through 4. 1 through 3. I guess those are the ramp turns. That's the early game, right?
Yeah.
Any rock is going to get you a turn 4 or 5 angel.
Giant dude, which is, at the end of the day, what you want. You want to get out your big bigs early. You want to get them out often, 1 or 2 at a time, and you just want to, smash face with it. Stompy decks aren't really difficult to play, on the surface, but what do you want out of them? You want to play a giant dude, you want to kick the crap out of whoever's across the table from you. That's the point, and that's what this does.
Yeah, you got 9 creatures, 9 of your beatdown creatures, not including the kind of few auxiliary creatures. You got 9 of them at the 4 or 5 drop slot that are going to come down and beat ass.
Yeah.
And you know what I appreciated you playing? You've got in here both the Storm Surge Kraken, which is from the Commander set that did Lieutenant. What was that, 2014? Anyways, Lieutenant is as long as you control your commander. Storm Surge Kraken gets +2/+2 and has whenever Storm Surge Kraken becomes blocked, you may draw 2 cards. Hey, I don't mind that.
Yeah, so more cards. About that. And he's a 7/7 for 5. Or if you have your commander, he's a 7/7 for 4. 7/7 for 4 that draws you 2 cards if somebody doesn't want to take 7.
Yeah, and the other Lieutenant one, and this one's probably just as good, is Angelic Field Marshal is a 3/3 flying angel for white 2 Lieutenant. As long as you control your commander, Angelic Field Marshal gets +2/+2. And creatures you control have Vigilante.
Oh.
And
so now it's a 7/7 that attacks for...
no, it's a 5/5.
Well, no, because the other one's a 7/7, and he's attacking, and if they block it, you get 2 cards, and he's got Vigilance, we can block 2.
Yeah, creatures you control have Vigilance, not white creatures, and not angels.
Yeah.
Creatures.
So good.
There's a couple of Vigilance enablers in the deck.
Vigilance is a super powerful... When you're attacking with creatures, the worst part about that is sometimes you can't then defend yourself with creatures. But if you can attack and block with them, that's always better than not being able to do that.
Here's the thing. 13 ramp spells are ways to make extra mana in the deck. Power out everything as early as possible. Are you going to need to block a whole bunch if your opponent's dead by turn 5 or 6?
Maybe you're playing in a big game.
Yeah.
Maybe
I guess we're going to talk about the critical turn and the optimal game size in the spicy calculator, because I think the deck with all of those ramp spells is deceptively fast. I think so.
Yeah, I drew a few, you have the deck simulators online and stuff. I drew a couple of sample hands with this one, and it was surprising how quickly you did get to
40 damage.
Yeah, 40 damage and just these huge dudes. Like, it's just dude after dude after dude after dude after dude, and it's crazy. It can get really nuts.
You know what? Looking at the deck even more, and I hate to keep going back to it, the ramp, I think it's important to drive it home that the big creatures are very supported in the deck. What did we say we're up to? 13
ramp spells?
13 extra ramp spells. How about Plaguemere? CCO staple right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Plaguemere taps for a colorless. He's a 1/1 for 2 with Infect. Knight of the White Orchid is in there. 2/2 first strike human knight. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a plains card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. You can search for Tundra or Hollowed Fountain.
Yep.
And that's your blue or your white. I like that. Or the bicycle lands from Amonkhet.
Yeah, you can find those too.
I like all of those.
Yeah, I believe I do play that one. I forget what it's called, but it is irrigated farmland.
Farmland, that's right.
Yeah.
You play that, and let's say you've got 5 or 6 ramp spells. You've got a Weathered Wayfarer in here. Lets you pay 1 and search for a land.
Yep. Balls budget.
And let's say you've got lots of land, lots of ramp.
I also play a land tax. I don't know.
Oh man, you play land tax too.
Yeah, there's so much ramp.
The deck is deceptively fast.
The cat's out of the bag on this one. This is a green deck.
Arc of double opposition.
Yeah, let's just say it. This is a green deck, but it's blue and white, but it's green. Apparently, if you mix those two things together and stir it long enough, you get green.
Huh.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, there's your... What is that? Would that be an art lesson?
I guess so.
There it is.
Well, you heard some of my suggestions, and now I'm kind of retracting some of them, because you might not need, with infinite mana, to do White Sun Zenith or Blue Sun Zenith, because you can just beat ass until everybody's dead.
Yeah.
I still stand by my my card draw suggestion.
No, that's important.
And you know what, listeners? This is what you do. You go onto magiccards.info or Gatherer or what have you, advanced search, select blue, and type in draw 4 cards, draw 3 cards, draw 2 cards, and just pick the appropriate spell. Like ramp, pick the appropriate ramp in your mana curve.
Yeah.
Pick the appropriate draw spell in your mana curve. You're gonna find something that is in the 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 drop slot to draw you cards.
Yes.
And like Sphinx's Revelation, if it's 2 colors, maybe you select blue and white.
Yeah.
If it's Sphinx's Revelation, you're going to get a double discount on it. So that's great.
You're not going to find the most card advantage stuff in white because it's not super good at it. But
it does it in other ways, right?
Yeah. White is more about incremental advantage more than actual cards in hand advantage.
Yep.
Which is why having blue as a supporting color is so handy.
Yep, for sure. Now, you had mentioned a little... I brought it up, but you had mentioned... with Sigil of the Empty Throne, just because we only have 5 instants in sorceries. You're not actually playing like Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares. Instead, you're playing Oblivion Ring, Detention Sphere, and what's the other one? Banishing Light. Those are all 3-drop enchantments that exile something until they leave the battlefield. Then the thing comes back.
Yeah, and we've talked about these before, how much I super hate them because they don't kill commanders. But with Sigil of the Empty Throne, which we'll talk about in a second.
Oh, yeah. In the, I want to say the Ural the Miststalker episode, maybe episode 15? 14 or 15 was it was the Voltron episode, and I asked Brando, how come you don't play the enchantments that get rid of stuff?
And it's because it doesn't get rid of commanders as efficiently, really. And it doesn't get rid of the other stuff either if there's an enchantment removal.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't actually exile it or get rid of it, right?
Pathing and O-ringing a general is the exact same thing, except O-ring is slower and costs 2 more.
That's the same thing. Slower because it costs 2 more.
Yeah.
And when the O-ring gets destroyed, they get their thing back.
Yeah, the thing could come back.
What I like, if you're into the enchantment removal bit for your to support your Sigil of the Empty Throne, is a little forgotten ditty from original Commander again, just like Crescendo of War, is Soul Snare.
Do tell.
CCO salute to you if you remember Soul Snare. It's an enchantment for white, and its ability is white, sacrifice Soul Snare, exile target creature that's attacking you or a planeswalker you control.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I like that. And you do actually play a planeswalker. We didn't mention him here. A little ditty named Jace the Mind Sculptor?
Jace the Mind Sculptor, Ryan. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Because sometimes you have to pay $400 to brainstorm. Sometimes you just have to do that.
I like Brainstormer for $400. Give him a read. He's got 4 abilities. And you know what? If you're used to listening to the budget shows or you don't have the budget, I mean, he's gone down of late, but give him a read.
He's only 9,000 Canadian dollars. Jace the Mind Sculptor is a planeswalker for 2 and 2 blue. Planeswalker Jace. Go figure. His loyalty abilities are as follows. +2, look at the top card of target player's library. You may put that card on the bottom of that player's library. So you can scry your opponents and F with them.
Fate Seal.
0, draw 3 cards and put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order.
Brainstorm.
-1, return target creature to its owner's hand.
Unsummon.
-12, exile all cards from target player's library. Then that player shuffles his or her hand into his or her library.
Mind Sculpt.
Yes. So good.
He's a good card.
He is an excellent card. He doesn't see a lot of play in our decks, I think because he costs so much. And I'm going to go on record as saying I think he's like the prototypical just really good planeswalker.
Yeah. Greatest of all time, maybe. Really.
He probably is. I would say he's one of the best one ever.
You know what? He is like, He belongs in a category of card that people know what it is and know that it's very powerful. And if you just random off the top drew him and played him, it's, kill that guy, or snap kill Jace, or what have you, Jace. Oh my God. Right?
Yes. He doesn't last very long in games of Commanders. We have a couple people who play him, and they never last very long. Unless they do like they play him behind their glass, and they kind of go, come on, Sculptor. And then everybody's like, what? And then all of a sudden it's like, exile your library. It's what? Yeah, I've had a Jace since turn 2.
Yeah, which you could do in this deck.
Totally could.
Is Jace turn 2 more powerful than Grand Arbiter?
Ooh, that's close.
Yeah, Jace is good.
Jace is very good. I don't know if it's better than Grand Arbiter in this deck, though. Because you're still ramping. You can't really protect Jace.
I wonder if it matters how many players you're playing against. If you're in a 5 or 6 player game, turn 2 Arbiter's probably better.
Way better.
Jace isn't going to set you up and slow down all of your opponents that much. You're going to get more slow down power out of Grand Arbiter than you are by fate sealing or unsummoning a random mana dork or that one mountain that the opponent across the table from you needs, right? That you're going to put on the bottom of his deck or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think 1 or
Grand
2
Arbiter's
people, I think Jace is Jason might be better in a 1 or 2 player.
Well, you're
situation,
playing 1v1 and you go turn 1 mana Crypt or Vault. Turn 2 Jace. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yes, that's very good.
That's why he's playing Legacy and Vintage and Banned and Modern.
Yes. All of those things.
Okay.
Stupid card.
Well, that's a little bit about the deck. Let's go into strengths and weaknesses. I like starting with strengths. Deceptively fast.
Yes, I like that lots too, of how speedily you can play. Like we were talking about Bruna and Gisela and the melding. It's like you look at that on its surface, that costs 12.
12 mana total investment.
Yeah,
right?
And you know when you can...
I think it's 13, actually.
And that can happen on turn like 4 or 5. Not super rarely.
I wonder if you nat draw both of them with like Soul Ring. You go turn 2 Gisela, because she costs 4.
Right.
And then turn...
5 other one.
Well,
maybe if you have if the rest of your hand has some ramp in it, you
turn 4 other one. If you have one other ramp spell, then flip them turn 5. You got a 9/10. Woo!
Yeah, that turns off all of their stuff that costs 3 or less.
In the meantime, you've played Grand Arbiter and or Propaganda and or something that draws you cards.
Yep.
Or ramps you more.
Yep.
Sweet, yeah. Deceptively fast. At the same time, I want to jump to a weakness. It is Angel Tribal, and I think people like dragons or maybe like demons, not demon tribal, but I don't know, some of the angels, like Baneslayer. Baneslayer kind of has the same Jace effect where, Baneslayer, gotta kill it, because it's just so good.
Yeah, because I think they were both in the same deck back when they were legal in sets, were they not?
There was a deck that had both
turn
of
4
them,
Jace, turn 5 Baneslayers. Like
let's give Baneslayer a little bit of a read here.
She's a pretty famous card. She's a 5/5 for 5, flying, first strike, lifelink, protection from demons, protection from dragons. That's like the epitome of what an angel has become, I would say, in Magic.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how strong it is.
Pro demons and dragons, and those 2 of the tribes that kind of have that aura about them.
Yeah, those are the 2 flying things that can block her and kill her.
Yeah.
And they can't.
Now they can't.
Now,
and
just Sphinxes.
If you got something else, she got first strike.
Yeah.
And whether you block her or don't block her, she's got first strike and flying. If you can block her, she got first strike. And whether you block her or don't block her, it's gonna be 5 life you're gaining.
Yeah.
It's a 10-point life swing if you don't block her. Oh, she's just so great.
She is a beating all by herself.
Going back to the strengths, if you're playing against a deck like last week's deck, plummet.deck, let's call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Bends over to plummet, destroy target flying creature. Bends over to Silklash Spider, deals X to flying creatures.
Yep.
Right? You also have the ground and pound game. You've got things like aforementioned Chasm Skulker that Brando said went so good with
Cathar's Crusade.
Yeah.
Chasm Skulker, what is he? Is it a 2/2 for 3?
He's a 1/1 for 3.
Yeah, he gets a +1/+1 counter for every card you draw. And then when he dies, you take all the counters off and turn them into little squids, I think is what they are. He turns into.
Squid. Yeah.
You get little squid counters, and let's say you've drawn 10 cards, and you got a Cathar's Crusade, and you kill your Chasm Skulker. 10 guys go in. That's 10 triggers on Cathar's Crusade. That's 10, 11 squids.
So I got this.
That's Royce Gracie with your arm in an armbar, and he's kicking you in the face.
Yep.
And he's teabagging your mother at the same time.
Yep.
Yes.
I think your card draw spell, strictly because of Chasm Skulker, goes in the 4-drop and above slot.
Yes.
That'll give you time to play your early mana rocks, your Chasm Skulker, your card draw spells, and then Chasm Skulker can die, and then you get a whole bunch of other things that make all of your angels like instantly lethal.
Yes.
Post Cathar's Crusade.
Correct.
So you got the ground and pound game with those big Leviathans that we didn't talk a whole bunch about because they're sort of auxiliary to the angels.
Yes.
If you don't have any of the vigilance enablers and didn't draw any of the vigilance angels, you've got things like, Scourge of the Fleets. It's a 6/6 for 7, which is really a 6/6 for 6 with Grand Arbiter, or Kefnet's Monument. You've got Lorthos the Tidemaker, 8/8 for 8 or -2. You've got Stormtide Leviathan, 8/8 Island Walk for 8, -1 or 2. Like the list goes on. There's a couple more. We're not going to go into it. You're getting, with any discount in the deck or any 2 or 3 mana producing mana rock, you're going to get such a good value out of these kind of just big dumb idiots.
Yes.
Which I like. I like a big dumb idiot. That's kind of how EDH started.
Yeah.
I like
just
that.
Swinging for the fences with giant dudes, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Now, Moving, the last weakness I want to talk about, the budget of the deck.
Ooh.
The deck on Tapped Out right now, and Brando didn't do the Brando thing and include all the foils in there.
And I was going to.
$1,926.
Oh, baby.
Now,
pocket change.
Maybe you could substitute the moat for Teferi's moat, which is a much cheaper moat. Maybe you could...
shittier moat.
Yeah, shitty moat, kind of like shitty Ant or Sliver Queen from last week.
Correct.
Maybe you could cut some of the fetch lands. The fetch lands will run you anywhere between, whatever, 12, 13, all the way up to $20-some for the blue ones. $50-some, whatever they are.
But you see, I play all those fetch lands because of my card of the week. And the card of the week is a little ditty called Call for Unity. It's from Kaladesh or Ether Revolt. I don't know the set symbols very good. Enchantment for white 3. It has Revolt. When at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, you put a Unity counter on it. And then creatures you control get +1/+1 for each Unity counter on it. So the fetch lands are there so you don't have to sack your dudes or worry about any of that kind of stuff. You just sack a fetch land, get a counter, anthem your guys a little bit more.
Yeah, and you're playing, of course, all of the white ones and all of the blue ones.
Correct.
So you have added some amount of hundreds of dollars to your deck.
Yes.
$175 for the fetch lands. Is it worth it for big Anthem dot card?
Totally is.
Could you play Glorious Anthem?
No, absolutely not. I could not. Because this is way better. And this card, Call for Unity, costs 30 cents.
30 cents is good.
30 cents is good.
I like me some 30 cents. Everything else in the potential cut section, I mean, you could take it or leave it, right? You're playing extra planar lands, so you do want to keep your plains and island total up.
Yes.
And then there's a couple includes that I think spiced to taste. Spiced based on either what decks you play this against, what size of game you play it in, and your meta, right? There's a Glacial Chasm in here, which essentially prevents all damage done to you. And I'll give it a read here. It's Glacial Chasm. It's a land. Cumulative upkeep. Pay 2 life. Doesn't seem good, but when it comes into play, sacrifice a land. Wait a minute. This seems terrible. Good. Creatures you control can't attack. What kind of card is this in a beatdown deck? Wait, there's one more ability. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you.
Kind of makes Luminarch Ascension pretty good, hey?
Oh, very good.
Yep. Turn 3, that's your land drop. You go Luminarch Ascension that. Wait until the turn goes around, get your 4 counters.
Oh, instead of Luminarch on turn 2, you go...
Luminarch turn 3 with the Glacial Chasm. It gets back to you. Fuck Glacial Chasm. Play a land, and away you go.
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
I guess depends on if, let's say you're using this deck in a really big game where your opponents could attack whoever, doesn't need to be you. Maybe you don't want the Glacial Chasm, but at the same time, it's like $4.
Yeah, it's not a huge
so it's not a huge impact on the $1,900 budget.
Correct.
But it doesn't give you mana. That's the thing, right?
That is true.
It's too bad we didn't see a flip card from Ixalan that flips into a Glacial Chasm that does give you mana.
There's another set coming out.
There is.
There might be one.
There is.
Get on it, Wizards.
Yep.
Get on that shit.
And then lots of other stuff in here looks like your typical CCO staple. You've got Rogue's Passage. Definitely like that when you got big bigs floating around everywhere.
Sneak your big guy in there.
We've got a what's the other CCO staple? Oh, a Chroma's Memorial. Super awesome if you get in that magical Christmas land area and you draw your whole deck and then
because that's your haste enabler.
Yeah.
And nothing says I just drew my whole deck and I'm playing my whole hand and all my guys have haste. Like all my guys not only have haste, but they also have trample, vigilance. What is it? Trample, vigilance, haste, pro red, pro black.
Flying, lifelink,
first strike, flying,
whatever the hell they have.
Yeah, they have
They all
everything.
become a Chromas, which is an angel. Right on theme.
Boom.
I like that.
So good.
Okay, let's get into my 2 favorite parts.
Let's do that. What are those? Those are your milk list and the spicy calculator. Where would you like to start, Ryan?
Let's do milk list.
The milk list. Ooh. Yeah, they told us to stop trying to sound sexy and have the little reverb under there and have the pimp music playing. People told us to stop doing that. So we did.
Actually, it was my wife. She gets all the sexy she can handle every other day. So the cast, she uses it to dial down the sexy in her life.
Oh. Well, okay. I get all right. That's fine.
Yeah. That's a thing.
F you, Rebecca.
Oh, is that the first F you, Rebecca?
I think it is, yeah. I think it might be.
Wow.
It took us 30 episodes. This
Milk
is a
list.
special occasion. Let's do the milk list.
Milk list before I get into any more trouble. Okay, most popular cards in the Azorius color family as per EDHrec.com from converted mana cost of 0 to, in this case, 15. Ready? At 0, Pact of Negation.
Nope.
Sol Ring at 1.
Yes.
Cyclonic Rift at 2.
Yep.
Detention Sphere at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Supreme Verdict at 4.
Nope.
Ooh, I like that one. Instead of Wrath of God?
Nah. Takes away from the spiciness.
Well, I guess Wrath of God is... Both are in the stock list.
Yeah. And one is on theme.
I guess so. Angels, God,
There you go.
what have you. Okay. At 5, Venser the Sojourner.
Nope.
Sun Titan at 6.
Nope.
Angel of Serenity at 7.
Nope. Yeah.
That's
Nope.
an angel.
I know. It's not on the deck, though.
Okay. 8, Dig Through Time.
Nope.
9, another angel, Iona, Shield of Emeria.
I do not play her.
Jeez, what kind of angel deck is this? 10, Omniscience.
Nope.
Temporal Trespass at 11.
Nope.
Blightsteel Colossus at 12.
Nope.
Emrakul.
Nope.
Blinkmoth Infusion.
No.
And the other Emrakul, the Eon's Torn at 15.
Nope.
Ooh, 3 milk lists.
It's pretty good.
All in the first like 3 or 4 cards. I thought that it was going to go downhill from there and we were going to have like a milk list of like 18.
A milk list of Palooza?
Yeah.
Nah, no way.
No way. Okay.
I'm not going to let you down like that.
That's looks pretty spicy. You're not using very much of what the common EDH wrecker or tapped outer or what have you is using.
It turns out most Azorius people want to play a control deck and not a green deck.
Yeah. Oh, I'm control. I'm smarter than you. I'm better at magic because I can play blue.
F you guys.
Yeah, I hate everybody. Spicy calculator.
Love the spicy calculator. That infographic is so good. I hope by the time everybody's hearing this, they've also seen the infographic.
Yeah, and just a reminder, let us know what you want from the show as rewards if and when we launch a little bit of a Patreon campaign to help support website and actual spicy calculator that you can just punch your own numbers into.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Yeah, I like that. What else do you want besides that? Okay.
No nudes.
Oh, we could do nudes of us.
No nudes, Ryan.
Like none at all.
No nudes.
No nudes of anybody.
No nudes.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Okay, popularity. At the time of the list making and the show note typing, 945 Grand Arbiter lists.
It's quite a few.
That's lots. He's the second or third most popular EDH rec commander.
He is the second most popular commander in Azorius. Second, very far behind Brago King Eternal.
Oh, yeah, almost double the list for Brago, hey?
Yeah. Have we ever talked about Brago?
No, F that guy.
Oh?
F you, Evan plays him, and I don't like that deck.
Yeah.
It's the quintessential control deck.
Suck it, Evan.
Yeah.
CCO salute to you.
Average converted mana cost for the deck, despite having all the big bigs in it, we've got a converted mana cost of 3.67. So a little bit higher than the average number that we're looking for, that 3.5, but also a little bit higher in the ramp and dork and mana rock category with whatever we said, 13 plus all those other things that we talked about.
Yeah.
What is that? 17 ramp ramp and rock?
Yeah, there's lots of ways to get mana.
That's
Cheap.
lots, man.
Lots
That's lots.
Yeah.
Okay, critical turn, deceptively fast. We talked about this. I think if you can land a turn 1 or 2 mana rock, and again, there's lots, you can start rolling people over, like critical turn of 4. That's when you're going to land your first big.
Yes. And then every turn after that is an additional big.
Yeah.
Or a big or bigger.
Yeah, and spice your card draw into taste, and you're never going to run out of big bigs unless you get Vandal Blast or what have you.
Yes.
But there is also things that just flat out find you land cards.
Correct.
Yeah. So critical turn of 4. Didn't max it out there. Optimal game size. I think you're going to want to play this deck in a 5 or 6 player game.
You're probably right.
Because while it is fast, it's not that fast. And I mean, your first big thing, your first threat, your second threat, or if you're playing a control deck in a smaller, like a 3 or 4 player game, the first time you get Wrath of Godded or Vandal Blasted is going to be very devastating.
Yes.
And while that stuff does happen more often in a big game, it's not going to happen as early in the game.
Correct.
I think that might be a thing that we can talk about is sometime is, when is the opportune moment to wrath or board wipe based on how big the game is?
Do you want to wrath at the right time, or do you want to wrath whenever Jesse would wrath, F you Jesse, which is as soon as he draws the wrath?
Yeah, windmill slam, Wrath of God, turn 2 off of a Soul Ring.
Ridiculous. There's 2 creatures in play. 2, and he Wrath of God it.
Sometimes you got a Wrath of God when you don't have your path. Anyways, the optimal game size, I think, is 5. You got to max that category out. And uniqueness rating. Now, this is the number of cards in our list that are different than the stock list on edhrec.com. 42 cards different.
That's pretty good.
That's really good. Number of tutors in the list.
Just 1, I think.
Yeah, just Trinket Mage.
And you're allowed 1 without losing spiciness, because for the calculator to work, you have to have 1.
Correct. And I wonder if you wanted to... And I wonder if you use Trinket Mage, if you count it as a mana dork, because the only thing you can find with Trinket Mage in the deck is your 0 or your 1-drop mana rocks.
Yeah.
Which you have lots of.
Yes.
So I think that's another mana dork spell. Trinket Mage is akin to Wood Elf, which is a green card. So it finds you literally anything. I wonder if, depending on, spicing the deck to taste or whatever, or making it more aggro, if you wanted to include something like a couple swords based on what your meta wants you to have protection from, you could switch out the Trinket Mage for a Treasure Mage.
Yeah, you could do
Treasure
that.
Mage Trophy Mage searches for a 3-drop artifact.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Trophy Mage would also search for the monuments, which do kind of act as ramp spells.
Yes, they do matter.
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
that's better. Maybe Trophy Mage is better, and you find Kefnet's Monument in a mono blue like Kraken deck. Maybe that goes in seamonster.deck. Not really on theme, but
a lot of the times your ramp spells aren't going to be on theme.
Yeah,
Knight of the
that's
White
a
Orchid
thing.
isn't an angel either.
Yeah, that's
But he's
right.
a ramp spell, and you need that shit.
I like
It's not
Trophy
gonna work.
Mage to find Kefnet's Monument in a mono blue big deck.
Get on it, Internet.
Yep, make it happen. So we punch everything into the spicy calculator. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Spiciness of 60.
Legit.
That's pretty spicy.
I think so, too.
Yep, spicy's the god dang jalapenos I grew this year. Yeah. And usually jalapenos aren't that spicy, but I had 2 of my 3 plants that are just ungodly hot.
Huh.
And while they're not as hot as like halakha peppers or habaneros or whatever, these are garden jalapeno spicy AF.
Did you eat the
As
habanero?
heck. I feel like a good heck.
I like that one. Did you eat the habanero pepper that I gave you? Not habanero. It was habanero. The red one.
No. It was a California pepper, wasn't it? No, Californias are green.
It was a cayenne pepper.
Yes, I did.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Good.
I ate some of it, and I chopped the rest of it up and put it into something that I made, either nachos or a salad.
Excellent.
And you know what? My garden cucumbers and chives and peppers were so tasty that when I mixed them into a salad, didn't even need salad dressing.
Nice.
Oh yeah, the sweetness of the chive and the little bush pickle cucumbers.
Yeah.
Not the big English cucumbers
Yeah,
that look like
those.
giant. You don't want to know.
The wieners. No
They kind of
nerds.
look like our microphones.
Also like wieners.
Yep.
Yep.
The bush pickles, way better.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're also gardeners, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta like that.
What else? Brando's the final thoughts of the day. What do you want to say about Grand Arbiter Angel Dick Stompers?
I super hate white and I super hate blue. I hate both of them.
And you also super hate control.
And I super hate control
Okay,
decks.
go ahead. It's all you.
So I invented a white-blue control deck that's a green stompy deck. And that makes me feel really good about myself. It's deceptively fast, totally not on budget, which I also super enjoy. And while it doesn't give you the most varied play experience, which is what we like, I think just the fact that the deck does what it does, and it does it so well, I think will bring you both props and wins, which is also important. It's not all about winning, but sometimes you gotta win. Sometimes you want to invest money and win games of Magic. And we're going to continue teaching you how to win games of Magic on the next episode of Commander Cookout Podcast. Hit our theme song!